Hi, this is Michael Rubin, and I just want to say that I believe that this video is the most important video we've done in a long time, and that if you can understand the concepts in this video, the doors are going to open wide for you. That this is a huge moment in understanding how music works. So, we've been dealing with modes, and let's say we have the C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and then we did the second mode of the C major scale was starting on D, called the Dorian mode, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. And we already looked at it one where we said we want the Dorian feeling, but we didn't want to play it in the key of D. Let's say we wanted to play it in the key of B. So the math question was, a C major scale is to the D Dorian scale as the X major scale is to the B Dorian scale. And we were trying to solve for X, and we said, well, in the key of C major, D is the second note. So we know that B is the second note of the major scale that we want. Well, in the key of A, B is the second note. Another way to do that would be to say, well, from C to D, it's a whole step, 2 keyboard notes. What's a whole step lower than B? A. So for Dorian, it's fairly easy to find the major scale that has the same notes as the Dorian feeling you want. So let's say you wanted to play G Dorian. You could either find the major scale where G is the second note, which is F, or you could go a whole step lower from G. G goes down to F sharp, down to F, and there's the F major scale. If you play the notes from the F major scale, F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F, but you start on G, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F, G, that's the G Dorian scale. Well, that method, or those two methods, works pretty easily for the Dorian scale because it's the second mode of the key of C major. It's right next to C. Very easy to figure out. But let's say you're dealing with the Aeolian mode. The Aeolian mode is based on the sixth mode of the key of C. So it would start on what note? What's the sixth note in the C major scale? C, D, E, F, G, A. Okay, so the Aeolian scale is all of the white notes from the C major scale, starting and ending on A. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Well, what if we wanted to figure that out in another key? Well, let's say we wanted to play the G Aeolian scale. We would have to know G is the sixth note of what scale? Oh my God. All right. G is the sixth note of B flat. And it took me like 10 seconds to figure that out. Now, actually, I knew that off like the back of my hand. But, I've been working on this stuff a long time. So I would take the B flat scale and start and end on G. G, A, B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G. Which is great. I got the answer. But I really had to think. The other method would be to say, okay, how far is it from C to A in terms of half steps? C goes up to C sharp, to D sharp, to E, to F sharp, to G sharp, to A. 9 half steps higher. Good Lord. Well, A, let's see, I want to do it in the key of G, but I got to find the major scale. 9 half steps lower than G. I mean, it'll get me to B flat, but boy, is that difficult. Now, an easier way to do it would be to say, how far is it from A to C? If you have the A Aeolian scale to the C major scale, A goes up to A sharp to B to C. It's 3 half steps away. So if you have the G Aeolian scale and go up 3 half steps, G sharp, A sharp, or B flat, it gets you to the B flat major scale. But basically, I guess what I'm trying to say is, it starts getting hard. We need an easier way to do it. So this is the easier way to do it. Let's think about the Dorian scale again. So the C major scale is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. The D Dorian scale is the same notes starting and ending on D, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. And what we're trying to figure out is a way to find the Dorian scale for any key. We're trying to figure out a simple way to do that. So what I suggest we do is compare the D major scale to the D Dorian scale. So in the D major scale, the notes are D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. And if you didn't have that memorized, you could learn that by starting on the note D and then going up whole step, half step, whole, half. Or you could go around the circle of fifths 2 times, putting new sharps in the 7th place and retaining the sharps you find along the way. If you don't know how to do this stuff, it's in my earlier videos. Okay? So we got the D major scale. D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, starting and ending on D. Now the D Dorian scale is all white notes. It's a mode of C major. So I'm going to start and end on D, but I'm only going to hit the white notes. So let's compare the two of them. The Dorian scale is therefore D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. What is the difference between the D major scale and the D Dorian scale? Well, in the D major scale, there is an F sharp, whereas in the D Dorian scale, there is an F. And in the D major scale, there is a C sharp, whereas in the D Dorian scale, there is a C. What is the difference between F sharp and F? F is lower than F sharp. By how much? 1 keyboard note, or 1 half step lower. What is the difference between C sharp and C? C is lower than C sharp, again, by 1 half step. There is a word that I've given you. I've defined it. If you look early in my videos, you'll see it. The definition of the word is 1 half step lower than. So what word means 1 half step lower than? Flat. For example, the note A flat means the note that is 1 half step lower than A. Okay, so I'm going to use the word flat as a verb. In order to change the D major scale to the D Dorian scale, I have to flat the F sharp down to F and flat the C sharp down to C. Now, if we were to number the notes in the D major scale, D would be the first note and E would be the second note. What number values would you give F sharp and C sharp? D, E, F sharp. F sharp is the third note. G, A, B, C sharp. C sharp is the 7th note, D. So, in order to change the D major scale into the D Dorian scale, I flatted the 3rd note and I flatted the 7th note. Now some people get a little confused at this point, because when I flatted F sharp to F, there's no flat in the letter name F. It's just a letter name, F. It's not like A flat has a little lowercase b next to it signifying that it's flat. It's just F. Yet, compared to the F sharp note, it has been flattened. So that's a big concept, that even if you were to take the note G and lower it to F sharp, you flattened the note G and wound up with an F sharp. So even though the word F sharp has a sharp in it, in that instance, it's considered flattened. And if G were the third note in a scale, then the F sharp would be considered the flat third. We would most likely call it G flat as opposed to F sharp in that situation. But basically what I'm saying is it doesn't matter if the name of the note has a flat symbol in it, a sharp symbol, or a natural note without one of those symbols. If you take a note from the major scale and lower it 1/2 step, then it is flattened. If you take the third note from the major scale, it's the flat third. If you take the seventh note from the major scale, it's the flat seventh. So, to take the, again, I'm going to say it, to take the D major scale and turn it into the D Dorian scale, you flat the third and flat the seventh. So what this means is you could take any major scale and turn it into the turn it into the Dorian scale of that same key by flatting the third note and flatting the seventh note. So the key remains the same. That's important. So for example, if I take the C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and I wanted to play in the key of C, but I wanted to play a minor feeling. I know that Dorian creates a minor feeling. So I need to change my C major scale into the C Dorian scale. It's still going to be in the key of C. And what I'm going to do is find the third note and the seventh note. C, D, E is the third note. I'm going to flat it to E flat. F, G, A, B is the seventh note. Flat it to B flat and end on C. So now I have the scale C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B flat, C. And I can tell the band, play a song in C minor. And I can use those new notes, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B flat, C, and I will sound good in C minor using the C Dorian scale. And luckily, C Dorian also works for a blues song in the key of C, because Dorian has two feelings, minor or sad and bluesy. So let's try another key. If you had the G major scale, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, and you wanted to play blues in the key of G, you could turn that G major scale into the G Dorian scale by flatting the third note and the seventh note. G, A, B becomes B flat. C, D, E, F sharp is the seventh note, becomes F. So the bluesy scale, the G Dorian scale, would be G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F, G. And in order to get the feeling, you would tell the band to play a blues in the key of G. Okay, so hopefully this has made sense to you, and if it hasn't, please let me know. We gotta make this one clear to everybody. Basically what I'm saying, just one more thing. There are a lot of scales in the world. Even if we were to just learn the Ionian, Dorian, Mixolydian, and Aeolian scales, which will go a long way towards you being able to play music with anybody in any style. That's 4 different types of scales. There are 12 keys. 4 times 12 is 48. You could memorize 48 scales. That's a lot of work. What I do instead is I memorize my 12 major scales, and I memorize 4 number patterns. So the Ionian number pattern, or the major scale, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the Dorian number pattern is 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 8. and the Mixolydian and Aeolian have their own number patterns, which we're going to figure out later. And so, instead of learning 48 scales, I learned 12 major scales, 4 number patterns, and when I want to play a Dorian in the key of C, I take the C major scale, plug it into the Dorian scale by flatting the 3rd and the 7th, and now I know my C Dorian scale without having to memorize 12 Dorian scales. So things become a lot easier. Instead of memorizing 48 things, you memorize 12 plus 3, because there's three modes other than Ionian. 12 plus 3 is 15. Only 15 things to memorize. Much easier. Okay, see you soon. Come on, webcam, shut off.